Let me recognize the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Loudermilk, for his questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I was listening to the statements and answers to the questions here today, I kind of heard a common theme as I've read the reports of this this event is it's not important for us to find out who's to blame right now, but other than to clean up the spill. It's understandable. But it seems to be when the government is at fault, they're not very anxious to figure out who's at fault, but if it's somebody else, we're more than willing to point the blame, even while the disaster and the cleanup is going on. Let me bring attention to 2010, the Deepwater Horizon spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Disastrous. It was disastrous to the people of that region. It cost many people their jobs. Many businesses went under because of this. Even while we were attempting to clean it up, the government didn't hesitate to go ahead and point fingers as to who was to blame. In fact, the former EPA administrator, Lisa Jackson, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, then Janet Napolitano, sent a scathing letter to BP saying they must be more transparent with what happened. Dr. Ben, has, in your opinion, the EPA been transparent with what's going on so far?
Thank you for that question. Well, as far as the farmers and the ranchers are concerned, they hadn't really been as transparent.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stanislaus, I appreciate you saying in summarize, eventually we're going to get to what the issue is. But why are we only being transparent when this committee goes forward and demands answers? Why is not the EPA coming more aggressively right now and coming out with what was the cause and what are we going to do to fix the situation? When are we going to see the transparency that this government demands of private industry or individuals when they're clearly at fault?
Well, thank you, Congressman. We believe we've been as transparent as we possibly could. Our initial focus was absolutely to collect the data and provide data in the hands of local communities of the states and tribes to make decisions. Subsequent to that, we posted about 2,500 pages of documents regarding the work plan, documents regarding the request proposal, documents regarding community meetings held with stakeholders, and we will continue to do so. Now, with respect to holding ourselves accountable, we first began with immediately and as aggressively as is possible to conduct a response in a unified way, making sure that the state and local government and tribes are part of the unified command. Clearly, we are only part of the way through. We've done an internal review because I was very interested what lessons learned relate to other sites around the country and what lessons learned in terms of what transpired there. But that's only part of the puzzle.
Have you been more transparent than BP was?
Have I been more transparent? I think we've been very transparent. I've not done the comparison, but having been involved in the BP spill as well, and I believe we in fact pushed transparency there. And I believe we executed the same level of transparency here.
Ultimately, who's going to be held responsible for this?
Well, that is exactly where we are in the process of examining. We've done an internal review. We have 2 other independent reviews, and we will see the culmination of that regarding what were the preparation and facts going into that event, how was that executed, and we're going to look at all of that. But
so do you agree that you should be held to the same standards that you hold everyone else to?
Absolutely.
Do you agree to that?
Absolutely.
After the Deep Horizon spill, President Obama appeared on the Today Show in 2010 and stated, Mr. Hayward had Mr. Hayward, the president and CEO of BP, had been working for him, he would have already been fired because of his role in the spill. Do you think we should hold the same standards? Should Gina McCarthy already, should we have called for her to be fired if definitely the EPA is responsible for this spill?
Well, I think we all want a fact-driven process. So we've done one step of the investigation. We await the independent review, and I think all the members, all the public have also called for independent reviews. We're going to see the culmination of that. Roughly, Department of Interior is doing a study in 60 days. I don't recall exactly when the Office of Inspector General will be completing, because we want a fact-driven process, both to because I'm responsible for the cleanup of contaminated sites around the country at the request of states and local government. I'm more than anyone else want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So we are going to await that information.
I appreciate that. We're running out of time. All I'm asking for is that the hypocrisy of this government stop, and that the government hold itself to the same standards that it holds the American people to. And that's what I think we must demand as we go forward. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Loudermilk. By the way, I don't remember President Obama waiting for an independent review, given the comments you just said. The gentleman